Hi everyone, it's Rax, and I am redoing my most popular video that I've ever done on my channel. I did it several years ago, the how to farm Primal Ancients and Paragons. By the way, thank you for the 1.5 million views on that video. Never in a million years thought that we would get that many. But the game has evolved a little bit since then, and with Season 28 coming out next season, you need to get 6 Primal Ancients in one season, and for a lot of players, that's very, very hard to do. And the power creep next season is going to be higher probably than it's ever been in any other season. So if you want to get to your highest Paragon level and have the most powerful character you've ever had before Diablo 4 comes out, now is the time to do it. So I thought now would be a fantastic time to go back to this video, make it a little bit more concise, and update the strategies a little bit to explain to you what I'm thinking about when I'm trying to maximize my XP, my Paragons, and getting the best items and Primal Ancients per hour. So the first category I want to talk to you about is powering up your character. So the very first thing you do when you hit level 70 is you hit Shift J or go to the menu and you open the season journey. When you complete the first 4 chapters of it, they give you a full set. In Season 28, every full set is very powerful. And as Blizzard continues to rework all of the different sets, every single one of them is 1,000 times better than having nothing. That's the first thing that you do every time. You need to get your Haedrig's Gift set and start blasting with that. The next thing that you have to do, and I have a video on it, which a lot of people have watched, is you have to augment your character. If you don't know what augmenting your character is, that's another video you should go over and watch. But, of course, there is a guide on Maxroll, and oh, look who wrote it. Essentially, what augmenting is when you have ancient items, you can sacrifice some gems and legendary gems, or now that Echoing Nightmares are out, you can actually sacrifice the Petrified Screams to permanently add a gigantic sum of main stat to all of your items. You have to understand this. You have to understand what augmenting is, and you have to augment your character. If you don't, you're giving up essentially so much main stat, you're giving up like at least 1,000 Paragon levels in damage. You're never going to be strong, you're never going to be competitive, ever. You must understand augmenting. So read the guide, watch the video. If you have any questions, post them down below. But if you've never augmented your character, you have to understand this. Getting the gems, getting the Petrified Screams from the Echoing Nightmares. There's an Echoing Nightmare guide too, and all that good stuff. And then finally comes min-maxing your gear. That's like the final step in powering up. Usually, as we'll talk about later, you should do that with greater ifs. There are some other ways to do it with bounties to re-roll stuff or very tough things like jewelry or very, very specific items. But a lot of people sometimes wonder what does that look like? What is a best in slot item for me? Well, of course, we got you covered there. If you go to the build guides and pull up any guide next season, I expect the Talrasha Meteor Wizard to be the most powerful. So a lot of people are going to be looking at this one. There's 2 ways to do it. First, you can go to the item stat priorities thing, and in every single slot, it tells you the item that you need, and it tells you the best stats in order. So now you can prioritize what you're looking for. Don't want to look at a huge table? No problem, me neither. So then you just go into the GR solo push or any of these different variants that you might be playing and just mouse over the item. When we make the planners, we put the best stats that you're looking for. And then if you want to read why, you can read the whole guide and it will explain why. But in general, every single build, at least for the builds that can crit, which is like 95% of them, you want like crit, area damage, cooldown, and attack speed, usually pretty much everywhere you can, along with the elemental damage rolls, like on your amulet and on your bracers, right? So that will be the final step in your journey, is min-maxing your gear. But it starts with Haedrig's Gift in the season journey to get you a set. Then it's augmenting your character. You have to do that. If I say those words, augmenting, and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you've got to read the guide. You have to understand you're giving up so much power for no reason. And then finally, you min-max your character. So now let's get into, you have your build, you have it auged. Now it turns into how do you farm Paragon and how do you get all those Primal Ancients? How do you get the best gear? There are many game modes in this game. There's campaign, there's adventure mode. In adventure mode, you can do bounties, you can do regular rifts, or you can do greater rifts, and then you can do the challenge rift. Challenge rift, if you like doing that stuff, you should do once a week to get some free bounty mash just to do something else. You can only do it one time per week for a reward. But the thing that I want you to have in your mind is 99% of the time when you play this game, you should be doing greater rifts. They pay out the best of everything. They pay you the most XP, they pay you the most items, etc., the most blood shards, everything. Greater rifts are what you want to be doing. You don't want to allocate any time to the campaign. You only want to allocate time to bounties when you have to. If you have to unlock your altar, fine. If you need a bounty-specific item, like a Ring of Royal Grandeur, fine. If you desperately need to reroll one thing, okay. But other than that, you should not be doing bounties. It's a huge waste of time. You should be doing greater rifts. Same thing with Nephilim rifts. You should never be doing Nephilim rifts unless it's to get keys to do greater rifts. So here's one way to think about it. Essentially, in every single game mode, with the exception of Echoing Nightmares a little bit, you are not getting any XP when you do it. You don't get any XP when you do campaign, none when you do bounties, none when you do Nephilim rifts. It's literally zero in challenge rifts. You're not getting any XP. If you farm with greater rifts, then your Paragon level is rising, your main stat is rising, and at the same time, you're also getting the best items. It's just kind of a no-brainer. One thing that I see a lot of people doing is they just don't do anywhere near as many greater rifts as I do. And it's not just a function of I play this game for a living and I play all day. It's a function of if I log in for 2 hours, how many greater rifts did I do versus how many did you do? People are doing all these different things, and they're doing this weird thing called having fun. Not about fun, it's about efficiency, right? That's why you're watching this video. This video is not called How to Have Fun. This video is called How to Farm Primal Ancients and Paragon levels. You need to be doing greater rifts all the time. That's the thing I want in your mind as you go into the final season. How many greater rifts can you possibly do? And every time you're not in a greater rift, or you look over and your buddy on the couch is not doing a greater rift, I want you to shake your head and let them know that you are not pleased with them, okay? So then the next thing about understanding how to farm all this stuff is, what level should I do? How fast should I do it? What exactly is my target? It's a very easy question to answer. Diablo 3 rewards speed. It does not reward you struggling and eking out that, you barely cleared that greater rift with 1 second left, but you did it 10 tiers higher. You should never, ever do that unless you're going for like a best clear that you've ever done. You should be speed farming. And with how good the speed farming builds have become in this game over the years, you should be targeting at the maximum an average of like 3-minute runs. But a lot of the really, really powerful builds can clear pretty high GRs effortlessly in under 2. So I would say 3-minute average is the maximum for almost any build in the game for farming. So you just turn the GR tier higher and higher and higher until your average is, you shouldn't be struggling ever. You should be annihilating the trash, and elites shouldn't live any longer than 5 seconds. If they are, then you've gone too high. Another thing to understand is at GR 90, you get the maximum number of items to drop. With Primal Ancients, which by the way, if you didn't know, you need to do a GR 70 solo to unlock Primal Ancients. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. You need to do a GR 70 solo. But there is no way to increase the drop rate of Primal Ancients. Well, there is next season with the altar, but in normal terms, you can't increase the drop chance of something being Primal Ancient. But what you can do is you can increase the number of items that drop or the number of blood shards that you receive. GR 90 is essentially the cap here. GR 90 is where the most number of items drop. You're not going to get any more items if you clear GR 100. You will get a tiny bit of more blood shards, but that's not worth it. It's not worth the difference. So to put all that together as a final answer, the greater rift that you should be farming is the highest GR tier above GR 90 that you can clear every single time in under 3 minutes. That's the answer. You should be speed farming and just detonating them. Then a lot of people say, Rax, I've never even done a GR90 before, or when I do a GR90, it's very hard for me. I don't even, you're not speaking my language. You're not talking to me here. If that's the case, I do not believe it's because of a lack of skill. I do not believe it's because you're a casual. None of those things. I guarantee you that you can do it, especially next season with the altar. And one thing that a lot of people do is they have in their minds that they're going to play a certain build. I'm going to play a Zuni Dagger of Darts Witch Doctor. That's what I'm going to play. It's actually one of the most powerful solo builds in the game. It will do 150 solo. It'll clear the maximum level. But you cannot start on a bad farming build. Sometimes you have to start on a very good farming build, and it's so good at farming, it farms you the really good build that you actually want to play. But Rax, that takes away from my fun. I want to play this build from the beginning and the whole way. Well, at some point you got to make some compromises, right? But a lot of times when people explain to me that they can't do what they see me doing, the first question I ask them is, have you put together any of my farming builds? Have you went to the Maxroll tier list and have you put together one of the top builds for whatever class that you have and then switch to yours? And a lot of times the answer is no. So don't sleep on the fact, and this is season 27, it's about to be updated for season 28. Don't sleep on the fact that you should start on a very good farming build, and then you will be able to crush GR90 no problem. That's something that a lot of people aren't willing to do, but it's something you should consider if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. And then comes to the most infamous quote by far, town is lava. A lot of people just waste too much time in town. They look at their items, they salvage after every single greater rift that they do, they look at everything, they go to the stash, they put this here and there and there. You want to know what I do? I clear a GR, second it's done, I open another GR. The second it's done, I open another GR, and then I salvage and gamble very quickly. Gone. But Rax, you took away all my fun by doing that. And the only reason that you can do that is because you play all day long. No, it's not true. First of all, I don't understand why being efficient has to be correlated with not having fun. You can be listening to music, watching Netflix on your other monitor, drinking your favorite beverage, and when the GR is done, just open another one. There's no stress there. Your inventory can hold pretty much 3 GR tiers worth of items. I'm begging you, do not salvage your gear. Do not identify your gear until you've done 3 of them. Remember, if you have the very speedy build and you're clearing in like a 2-minute average, like 2-minute GR90s, it only takes 6 minutes for you to identify a full inventory of stuff and then gamble. Same thing with gambling. Don't gamble until your blood shards are full. And by the way, have you ever done this? Have you ever had 500 blood shards drop? You walk over and you pick them up and, oh, there's 100 blood shards left. I left 100 on the ground. My blood shards are full. You port to town, you gamble, and then you go back down to get the 100 blood shards. How many of you have done that before? No. Close the GR. Whatever blood shards you didn't pick up, they're gone. Like the heart of the ocean on the Titanic, let it go. Do another greater rift. You want to know what you're going to get with those 100 blood shards? You're going to get 4 yellows or 3 yellows and a blue, or 3 yellows and 1 legendary that you didn't want. That's what you're going to get, right? Kadala never gives you anything. Don't do that. It's okay to leave an item or 2 behind in order to keep the process up of GR after GR after GR. You'll be surprised if you commit to very efficiently doing that and only gambling after every 3 GRs and not spending too much time on your items, how much better of items you will find. Another thing about me playing all the time, I know exactly what to do. I can tell you what to do in pretty simple terms. Once you have the basic idea of the set items that you need for your build, Essentially, if you don't find an ancient item, it's absolute garbage. You can't augment it, so just salvage it. If it's non-ancient, salvage it. The only exception there is jewelry. There are some jewelry pieces like Convention of Elements, Focus and Restraint, Compass Rose and Traveler's Pledge, Squirt's Necklace, Flavor of Time, etc. Flavor of Time actually sucks now because you can just give it to your follower. But those items can be good if they're perfectly rolled as non-ancients. So jewelry, I would say, is the exception. You can check that. But everything else, essentially, once you get your character rolling, if it's non-ancient, it's absolute garbage. And that's 90% of the loot, because only 10% of it is ancient. So that will help you. Once you get going, start going with your augments. If it's non-ancient, it's garbage. So what are some other optimizations that you can do? There are some tiny things like when you're doing a GR and you have your upgrades. When you start your third to last upgrade, you can hit T or whatever the button is on console to go to town. And then do the last 3, and the second that the last one is done, boom, you're in town. Or Rax, that only saves you like 4 seconds or something. Yes, but it's 4 seconds from every single GR that you did the entire season. When you add those little optimizations everywhere, they add up. We already talked about never looking at your gear until it's full. Another option that you can do is, and I hope Blizzard will just fix this one day, but when you're doing a Nephilim Rift, especially when you're by yourself, when you're all done and you've killed the boss and you close the rift, you got 30 seconds. 30 seconds is an eternity. You can actually just leave the game and make a new game and save yourself 20 seconds every single Nephilim Rift that you do. If you don't want to do that, instead, you can actually salvage everything and put everything away and gamble before the next one is even up. That's not as efficient as the first option, is just leaving. But, I mean, that'll save you 20 seconds on every single one. And sometimes you can clear the whole thing in 30 seconds. So it actually saves you a lot of time. Another hint that has been probably a pitfall of Diablo 3 is grouping up is always better. You get more XP, you can trade items, you can do split bounties. You could even go AFK. Sometimes when someone has to go AFK, okay, well, we'll farm keys while you're AFK and just come down and get the keys. It keeps the efficiency going even when a couple people have to go AFK. One more thing is the XP pools. I get asked this all the time. The little yellow mustard pools that you see around. Those are only beneficial for the very, very high Paragon players. Now, when I say high Paragon players, I'm saying like 3,000 plus in a season. Now, why is that? The XP pools give you an amount of XP that's relative to your Paragon level. And so when I'm Paragon 3000 and I pick up an XP pool, it's going to last me a long time because it's taking like a percentage of Paragon 3000. And then it's very hard to accumulate that much XP. It takes time. So at a certain point, there's a mathematical inflection point where actually walking to pick up a pool is more XP than doing a Greater Rift. Another thing about it is they're bugged and they double dip on the turn-in. So you read the tooltip, it says it gives you 25% XP. No, it doesn't. It gives you like 41% extra XP. This has been complained about for Blizzard for a long time. I think actually Blizzard hates the mechanic, and maybe one day the information in this video will be obsoleted and they'll fix it. That would be great. Next season, though, they're fixing that. You pick up one pool and you have it for the rest of the season. I can guarantee you, I'm 100% sure that that was directly to benefit the casual players and, to stop giving the elite blasters an advantage. And they don't want the advantage either. Going to hunt for these pools all the time sucks. So that's something to understand for future seasons. The XP pools are only valuable if you're a very high Paragon level until Blizzard changes it. I'm not sure if we'll get very many changes anymore since this is the last season before Diablo 4 anyway. And I think I had a little outline here to make sure that I didn't hit everything. I think that pretty much is a very concise and direct way for the state of this game on how to get the most XP and how to get the most Primal Ancients. As long as you're farming at least GR 90 on a top tier build, in under 3 minutes, over and over and over, and only salvaging every 3 times, and being efficient with that, I can guarantee you with the altar buffs next season, you will get your 6 Primal Ancients and finish up the final season. And hopefully this will help you for other future seasons if Blizzard continues to support Diablo 3. I want to thank you one more time. Thanks for the 1.5 million views on the other video. I don't know how this one will do. It's fine either way, but I just wanted to do an update a couple of years later and have it be a little bit more concise and a little bit more direct. Anyway, I'm very excited for the next season. Tomorrow we're going to get the final patch notes and the release date and all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll see you guys there. And of course, I will see you in Diablo 4, and I'm sure I'll make the exact same video for that game. Thank you.